behind the scenes with future country rock blues kings and queens. Discover them first with Palm Mash TV. Palm Mash TV.
Well, hello there. It's Paul Mash TV time again. Thank you so much for joining us. We got another interview coming up shortly. But if you haven't yet, click that subscribe button and the bell below you there. And anytime a new episode comes your way, you'll be notified. You can check those out. And leave a comment on the comment section if you like. We'd love to hear from you and what you think of this episode. And we have closing credits at the end of the episode. And if you check out the description part, we have contact info on both. So we hope you'll check that out. From San Francisco, California today, we have Michael Larsen from a band called Ensign Red. Very awesome artist, and I think you're going to agree. And we're going to get to that in a second, but first we have a quick word from the Caden Gordon Show, so don't go away. We'll be right back right after this.
It is Caden from the Caden Gordon Show. Today's best country mix. Check out my show at thecadengordonshow.com.
Okay, we're back, and with us from San Francisco, California, we have Michael Larsen of Ensign Red. Thank you very much for coming on the show, Michael.
Thank you very much, and may I also say thank you for pronouncing our name right.
Yeah, no problem. We're glad to have you here today. The question I asked first off the bat is because, everyone has their own story. Why don't you tell us a little bit about how you found music and wanted to be an artist and so forth? I mean, you probably always wanted to be one since you were a little kid. Maybe you filmed much later. Tell us in your own words.
Wow. Okay. So back in my old days, back when I was a little lad. So the basic story I tell everybody is I think it's safe to say that my first interaction with rock and roll was with the Beatles. My dad bought me a copy of the Beatles' Abbey Road when I was like 7 years old. That was 1974. And it was the first rock and roll album I heard in depth that I got to do a deep dive on, and I loved it. I did not realizing why, but I fell in love with Ringo Starr's playing the drums. I just felt like, oh, this is really cool. And interesting that years later, we would still be having this debate about, is Ringo a really good drummer? Is he a good player? Yes, he is. And Paul McCartney is a bass player. And the fact that this band was four very exciting and interesting artists that all had their time in the spotlight and in the lead. And I said to myself, someday I want to do something like that. But it was Kiss in 1976 that made me say, oh, I really want to do this. And Ace Frehley in particular was a huge influence on me. He made me want to learn how to play guitar. However, let me be 100% honest here. Wanting to learn how to play guitar and then having the actual discipline to play, that's a very different story. I joke with people all the time when I say, yeah, I've been playing guitar for 50 some odd years, but I don't sound like I've been playing for 50 years. And it's a fair statement. And part of that is also because of the fact that once I learned that I could write songs with a guitar, I didn't necessarily have to be a perfectionist. And when I realized that there were guitar players out there who were really good, who would say, no, if you can write songs and we can perform them and you're willing to be the singer for it, then sure. By the time I got into high school, I'd started playing bass and enjoyed that. And I always thought that whatever band I would join, I'd probably be a bass playing singer, like a Phil Lynott or Jack Blades of Night Ranger or Blackie Lawless of Wasp, something in that regard. And I thought, yeah, I can make that work. Only I kept struggling with the fact that playing bass in a nice percussive, interesting way and singing the way that I like to sing was a bit of a challenge. It didn't quite work. And this was an interesting point. The very first band that I was developing and putting together, that was my role. I was playing bass and I was singing, and we had two guitar players in the band at that point in time. And the rhythm guitar player in the band looked to me and he said, hey, Michael, seriously, your talent is as a singer. You have the energy, you have the passion, you have the absolute ADHD freneticism that you should be up front singing, running around, interacting with the crowd. I'm going to make you a deal. Let's try this for 30 days. Let me borrow your bass. I will set my guitar down. I'll play bass. You focus on singing. If at the end of those 30 days, you are really jonesing to play bass and you want to get back behind it, I'll give it back to you. But I have a sneaking suspicion you're not going to want to do that. And he was right. And the very first band that I got in, I accepted the fact that, oh, okay, I'm going to be a front man for a band. I'm going to be the lead singer. And I learned to embrace all that that meant. Because when you're the front man of a band, you're not just the singer. You're also, for better or for worse, you are the focal point of the band. You are the spokesperson for the band. And I happen to be in a band with a few introverts, one severe extrovert, and myself. And the severe extrovert, ironically, was the guy that decided to play bass so that I would step out front and play and sing lead. And he said, you need to be the guy to do this. And I said, okay. And did I suffer from my bouts of LSD, meaning lead singer disease? Absolutely. But I learned from it. And that carried me over through multiple bands over the years. My most famous band was a group in San Francisco called Highwire. We released a number of EPs and we got to the point of being a headline band in the Bay Area. Never really got to the point to where labels were interested in us. Now, I don't know if this is 100% factual, but work with me here. My lead guitar player in that band, his longtime girlfriend was a legal assistant, attorney, managed a group of lawyers. So anytime that we got something that looked like a legalese or contract or legal agreement, we'd always throw it by her. And every time she would come back to us, she would say, you do not want to do this. This is a terrible idea. And because she understood what a record deal meant in the true, absolutely crystal clear financial aspects of it. And she said, this is not to your advantage at all. And once we started asking labels questions, they suddenly lost interest in us. And that was a really powerful lesson. Later on, years afterwards, when I retired and I started working in the tech industry, and I realized, oh, record labels are just venture capital firms. They just put out little shiny discs. That's the only difference. And once I was able to put it in that perspective, it forever altered how I looked at doing music, being part of that. And I lost pretty much all interest in wanting to be part of that level of the scene of, ooh, I can't wait to be famous. Oh, I can't wait to be on a label and all the headaches that went with it. And I became much more enamored of what can we do ourselves? How can we do this on our own terms? How can we do it so that we don't have to give anybody a say in what we do? And so later on, that's the opportunity that I got to do with Ensign Red. Mm-hmm. And Ensign Red is, interestingly enough, one of the lead guitar player in Ensign Red was one of my lead guitar players in Highwire 35 years ago. And it's neat to be able to have that connection. And two of the members of our band, Ed, rhythm guitar player, and Lloyd, our bass player, played for a number of years back in their own group, completely separate from what Doug and I had done. Doug Tracer, by the way, is the guitar player that I'm referring to, way back when. And then in the middle, we have Vic Jones, who was our drummer. And Vic was actually really good friends with us back in the Highwire days. He wasn't playing drums at that time as an avocation or as wanting to be a professional musician. He was my bass player's roadie at that point in time. And that's how I got to meet Vic and got to be good friends with him. And so years later, when he reached out to me and said, would you consider coming out of retirement and singing again? And he told me what their plan was and introduced me to the other guys in the group. This looks interesting. This looks promising. And we all made the same agreement. And that agreement was, We're not doing this for fame. We're not doing this for any level of popularity seeking. We want to write what we like. We don't have to cater to anybody. We don't have to develop music that fits some program, that fits some level of acceptance. We have to like it. And if we do, that's fantastic. If we don't have to put it out. And that's the neat thing about being in the group that we're in. And we all agree on the same principle of this is a creative outlet for us. But more to the point, we want to have control over our message, over the music style that we put out. And we're not going to play games with, well, this is hip and popular, or this is what people are responding to. No, we come from a lot of different backgrounds. We have a lot of different stylistic influences and interests. And we say, let's use them all. And we encourage everybody. If people say, what type of music is Ensign Red? I say, I don't know. You tell me. I know what I think it is, but I'm not going to tell you that you have to think it's that way. If you see us one way, that's great. If you see us as a heavy metal band, that's fantastic. If you see us as a hard rock band, okay. If you see us as a borderline glam alternative metal band, interesting, but okay. And so, and it's been neat to see what people's reactions are to us, because they oftentimes fall on interesting levels. And since we're not easy to pigeonhole, at least I hope we're not easy to pigeonhole, that means that, at least in my opinion, I think we're succeeding in what we're doing. Now, would you like to get a word in edgewise?
No, yeah, that's okay. Yeah, that's quite a story. And I know you mentioned Kiss and the Beatles as some of your influences. Those are really good bands, by the way. Did you have a few more that you wanted to mention?
Sure. Oh man, let's see. What would be now one of the things that I always, as I was growing up, I never wanted to be pigeonholed with the type of music that I listened to. The early 80s especially was a weird time for music. It was extremely factionalized. If you were a fan of heavy metal, man, you had to wear it on your sleeve. And I get that, because it was sort of a looked down upon genre. No, actually, not even a sort of. It was looked down upon genre. So a lot of people looked at those who liked heavy metal as being sort of dirtbags. And some said, you know what? I'm going to wear it like that. In a sense, it took on the ethos of punk rock from the 70s, as in saying, oh, you want to look down on me for my musical choice? How about now? How about here? Let's see how far we can take it. And so there was a pride in being part of that tribe, if you will, that gang. I'm going to wear my battle vest with my patches on it and my long hair and whatever. And I don't care what you think about me. And I have nothing but respect for people that did that. But I was never interested in that attitude. If I like heavy metal, great. I like heavy metal, but I like music. That's the key, because I had just as much of a love of alternative music. I had just as much of a love of R&B and disco. Totally serious about that. I tell people all the time, I am an absolute over the top, huge Bee Gees fan. And people will look at me and go, what? That doesn't make any sense. How can any singer not be a Bee Gees fan? Those men were phenomenal. Those harmonies were magnificent. And Barry Gibb, okay, granted, he might have overdone the falsetto after 75, but man, you listen to Main Course and you hear what he was cooking then. That was fantastic. Just absolutely gorgeous songwriting. I love Earth, Wind, and Fire with an unholy passion. And I will, to the death, go up against anybody who says, oh, you like Earth, Wind, and Fire? Have you heard them? Have you seen them? My very first big arena concert as a kid was to go and see Earth, Wind, and Fire. In fact, I was turning 12 years old, and a friend of my family, she knew I loved music, and she said, I'll make you a promise. For your birthday present, for me and my son, who's a good friend of mine, we will take you to whatever concert you want to see. And she figured that I'd want to go see Kiss, or that I'd want to go see whatever, Aerosmith or some hard rock band. And I was just looking at what concert, and for me, I was looking at what concerts were just near my birthday because I didn't want to string it out or be greedy about it. And as I looked at the concerts, I saw that on December 3rd, 1979, Earth, Wind, and Fire was playing the Cow Palace. And I said, Barbara, that's my friend's name, would you take me to see Earth, Wind, and Fire? And Barbara just went wide-eyed. She says, you want to go see Earth, Wind, and Fire? Yes. Yes, absolutely. I'll take you to that. She was every bit as excited as I was. And when I saw that, like, oh, okay, this will be cool. And I don't know if you know about Earth, Wind, and Fire shows. Doug Henning, the magician, and David Copperfield, before they were really famous, were developing this show. They made the band disappear on stage and show up in a pyramid up on the top of the ceiling. I'm sorry, you see that for your first show, plus also being one of the most absolutely rhythmically solid bands ever. I tell people to this day, I've seen hundreds of shows from clubs to stadiums and in between. I've never seen a band that gave a better performance than Earth, Wind, and Fire did that time. So it had a lot to do with the idea that for me, music was theatrics, it was showmanship, it was passion, and it deserved to be just a little bit over the top. And if you're not willing to do that, why are you performing? And so that colored my opinion for years. Other bands that I would say, again, danger, ADHD brain going off into tangents. But seriously, Thin Lizzy, huge influence on me over the years, especially Phil Lynnett's lyrics and the way that he would write those had a big impact. Let's see some of the others. There was an interest, like I said, I was part of the glam metal era, and I absolutely have no problem. Somebody, oh, you were in a hair band. Oh, shut up. No. Are you kidding me? Of course I was in a hair band. Of course I was in a glam metal band. And I loved every minute of it. I enjoyed being part of that scene because it was, again, it was theatrical. It was over the top. It was expressive. I could run around like a maniac on stage and entertain people. I could look garish and larger than life. It was fun. In fact, that's one of the reasons why when grunge and alternative took and stripped down a lot of the metal parts, I stopped performing, not because, oh, I didn't have any more to do or I didn't have any more ideas. I stopped performing because for a while there, it just stopped being fun. And it wasn't something that I was really interested in doing anymore. Yeah, sure, I could get up on stage like I was just some bloke out of the audience and perform and be dressed down. Could I rock out? Yeah. But did I feel like I was doing what I was meant to be doing there? No. And that turned me off for a long time. That's why in our band right now, it's a running joke in the band. I don't tell my bandmates how to dress. I do not care if we have a unified image on stage, but I make an effort to suit up when it comes to playing shows. And I make an effort to, if you see me in the crowd, I want people to go, that's a dude that's in the band. There's no question about it. It's not a matter of, oh, hey, yeah, it's a, oh, he's going to, when I step on stage, well, of course, duh. So, and I'll give you one, let's see if I had to say I'll give you a couple of more recent ones not just after I started performing, but bands that I got into in the early 2000s that had a huge influence on the way that I write to this day. One of them is Coheed and Cambria and Claudio Sanchez and the way that he writes lyrics. I mean, the man has a narrative that's run several albums, with the exception of one album that he dedicated to the birth of his son. Everything else is this ongoing galactic war narrative. And it's so impressive and cool. And the other performer that I have a deep, abiding respect for is Butch Walker, who used to be in a hair band called South Gang years and years back. Some LA denizens might remember Bite the Bullet from way back when. And That turned into South Gang, which turned into Floyd's Funk Revival, which turned into the Floyds, which turned into the Marvelous Three in the early 1980s. And that's when I picked up on them for real. I knew about all those other bands, but I really got into who they were with the Marvelous Three. And then when Butch Walker went solo, I started following him very intensely because I loved the way he wrote lyrics. And I have enjoyed watching his 21 plus year journey as a solo artist. It's been fascinating seeing the choices he's made, the music he's embraced, the choices of the songs that he's recorded. And so, without question, it's weird to say that I had a brand new influence that had a tremendous effect on me after the age of 30. But Butch and Claudio are two of them, without question.
Okay. Yeah, those are some good ones, more that you added there. I enjoyed most of those, I think. And now you can find all your music on all streaming platforms pretty much, right? And
Yeah.
where can we find you anywhere else, like social media, streaming media, official website,
So,
so forth?
okay. So at this moment, the band does have an official Facebook page. That's primarily our main location. We are stretching out. We do have a YouTube channel. And of course, if you are going to be featuring the video for Damage, that's our YouTube channel. You can certainly come and follow us there. And shameless plug, the more people that follow us on YouTube, the more inclined we are to be able to share and upload videos and commentary to go with that. So we encourage that. We would love to have you participate with us, have some fun with it, especially as we're working on material for a full-length album that we are hoping to get out real soon. We are actively recording it. We are down to, I think, the last couple of songs that we want to get ready and polish up and make sure that they are the best that they can be. And we will definitely make an announcement at that point in time. I am a firm believer that you don't announce something before you know you've got it in the can. People know that we've been doing this, but I'm not going to tell you when it's going to come out. I've got a pretty good idea, but I don't want to announce it until I'm 100% sure. But we are hoping to make sure that at least either later this year, granted we're toward the end anyway, or early in 2025, expect to see a full-length album from Ensign Red.
Okay, well, follow him there, and he'll give you all the updates, I'm sure. And go check out that album when it comes out. And we're getting ready to watch. You just mentioned the name of the song, though, "Damaged." I like this song. Is there a story behind it for any reason? Maybe you could tell us about that.
Okay, well, there absolutely is a story behind it. Now, typically speaking, I don't like to tell people what our songs are about or give them a deep rundown on what they are. I encourage people to listen to them and see them for what they are. But I will give you a little hint. Let's just say that if you are a certain kind of nerd, you're going to understand exactly what this song is about. And if you aren't, then this might drift with interpretations. And I love that for you. I want you to go on a journey with the song. And that's the key thing we do with every one of our songs. We like to build a world, and we like to have it so that you can inhabit it and think about it and imagine it. Sometimes that world is pretty positive, and sometimes that world is a little bit negative. But the idea is, I want our songs to be cathartic. I want them to be something that you listen to and go, yeah, that's cool. But not just, yeah, shake your fist and bob your head along and go, okay, that's great. I want you to have something that you can think about and ruminate on. And if you come back to me later on and say, hey, is this song about ... I love getting those, but I don't like seeding them beyond that. So yes, there is a story in the song. Yes, the story does actually mean something. Yes, there can be multiple meanings to it by design. And I encourage anybody out there, if you enjoy this song, go ahead and let me know what you think the meaning to the song is. And if you just dig the song and you want to say that, by all means, do so. It's a lyric video, and we were thinking about how we wanted to put it together and what did we want to do about it and other approach. And Ed, our guitar player, said, hey, I want to play with this if you don't mind. And what he did was he took one of our writing sessions. So you'll notice that we're all gathered in a circle kind of around each other, and we're just sort of sitting down there. And going back and forth. And a few times you'll see me in there and I'm waving my hands about like I'm a maestro, like I'm trying to lead people. It was a writing session, at least for one of the songs we were doing. I could tell by my hand movements and the way that I was positioning that we were writing something. It may have been this, and maybe that's why he picked it. But it's sort of funny. I thought that's a perfect background for it. We're actively writing the song, and here's the song and the lyrics. And this way, we're not giving you images to say, oh, well, this is what it is, or, oh, this is the story. We're saying, choose your own adventure and have some fun with it. And let's see where it takes you.
Okay, well, that's a good story behind that song, actually. I know you people are going to love it, and we're going to get to that in just a second. But Michael, we want to thank you so much for being on the show today. Come back anytime you want to plug something new. We'll have you back on sometime.
I look forward to it. Thank you so much.
Okay, and here it is, Damaged, and it begins right now.
Gathered here today, stand united in a common cause. Gather lots and cast them to the wind. Breathe deep and take a silent pause. Know that our actions will reverberate and ripple through these generations. Still we roll the dice against the odds for reiteration. Not as easy as it seems. The unrealized dream. Against the setting sun with grow-up full aggression. Yet we see the damage done. So many fortunate fools stand in awe of what we now possess. The wastrels, vagabonds, and misfits shall now readily confess. We dare to jump the rails and live our unorthodox energy, knowing full well the peril we face and the price